and push the button to start now. I want to thank all of you who are on board. Looks like everyone jumped on just just within the last 30 seconds here. But I want to thank all of you for being and coming with us and sharing your evening with us here. My name is Reverend Dr. Robert L. Screen Sr. I'll be your facilitator for this evening's Maryland 210 Traffic Safety Committee monthly meeting. So again, welcome all of you. Thank you again for being with us. As we normally do, we used to kind of try to have a regimen of trying to start off with our 7th District Police report. I see we have Captain Noel is with us, and Captain, I haven't seen the beard there. That's looked like last time I saw you, you've had a little growth there.
Yeah, a little bit. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. I was just wrapping up baseball practice, so excuse my appearance. My son's getting in the car now, but yeah. So I have a couple things I'd like to talk about, but I don't want to hijack it. I can wait for my turn. So
no. We normally start off with 7th District with the beginning, and if you need a minute or two, what you let me know. If you're prepared, just go ahead and you go ahead and get started with your report.
Yep. Yeah, I'm just gonna kill the video while I get myself home, and then but I have everything else in my head here, except for the traffic stats. Those are on my kitchen table. Unfortunately, I'll get to them once I get back to the house. But yeah, so I wanted to give you an update. I'm sure everyone is aware of our Officer Daniel Rodriguez, who was involved in a collision on 210 on Friday morning, rather, early Friday morning. He was closing the road down from a crash that occurred on right there at East Swan and 210 on the southbound side. He went up to Fort Washington Road, right by our station, to close the road down there so that traffic would have somewhere to go. As he was outside of his vehicle setting up flares, his cruiser was struck by a drunk driver. That pushed the cruiser into him and then kind of launched him into the median strip and the guardrail that separates the southbound from the northbound sides. He sustained a broken wrist that's going to require surgery, and then a broken tailbone and sacrum, which is making it difficult for him to sit, and also a lot of pain just in general because it's a painful injury. He's going to make a full recovery, though, so we're thankful for that. I just talked to him yesterday. He's itching to get back to work, but it just kind of highlights the work that you all are doing and some of the legislative changes you're working to make, and kind of underscores the importance of why we're all here.
Yes.
So I wanted to just give you an update on that. Also, Mr. Weiss had sent me an email about if there is a way that the police department could kind of keep track or pay some attention to repeat offenders from the speed cameras. Unfortunately, it's two different systems. So to be able to do it, there's no way an officer on the street is really going to know that vehicles had numerous traffic camera violations. The two systems don't talk to each other. And then it's also, you run into something where the violation from the speed camera is against the vehicle, and the violation from a traffic ticket is charged to the driver. So, my other car is registered in my name. It just happens to be, I bought it when she wasn't there, so it's only in my name, but she drives it. And she always gets caught by the camera by us. They just put it in. So if an officer were to see that, they'd see that the car, well, it's not necessarily the driver. So that's one of the reasons why it probably wouldn't be feasible either. So, it would be nice if we could track it, but just because one's on the car and one's on the driver, it probably wouldn't be fair to you stop that car that has multiple speed camera violations, but it's a completely different driver who's just, who's only done something wrong one time. Mm. But anyway, before I get to the stats, which are on my kitchen table, does anyone have any questions about anything?
Yeah, please. Any questions for Captain Noel?
I do. Yeah, no, you visit families of uh, young people who keep getting in trouble. So, rather, when you know that there's a car that has 50 speed camera tickets, couldn't you, if that car were registered in District 7,
Mhm.
could you visit the owner of that vehicle's home and let him know that he's got a scuffle vehicle?
I suppose we could. I don't know. I've never seen the actual data as far as like I see the speeds and the the number of citations, but I've never seen anything that got down to the granular level of this particular car has been caught X amount of times. If we had that information, um, the limitation would be manpower, of course, getting someone out there to do it, which isn't insurmountable. But we could run into an issue with just someone think, hey, I already got it in the mail. Um, you know, does it borderline on harassment at that point? I don't know. I'm just spitballing. And then the other um, issue is one is criminal, one civil. So in the with the police department, we work on civil or rather criminal law, not so much civil. But it's certainly something that could be explored. I don't see why we couldn't look at it to see what the feasibility of it would be.
Okay, or maybe Major Smith's office could send a letter to the address of the 50 speed camera tickets and say, what's going on or something, somehow we're talking about maybe having some legislation to address repeat offenders, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe we already, if we connect up the dots and connect the systems together, maybe we can do it with what we've got. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, yeah, no, I don't see any from on its face, I don't see any anything that would prevent it from happening.
Hmm.
So, that's definitely something it's a good idea. It's worth looking into, if
Okay.
nothing else.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Okay. Well, what I'd like to do, Captain Noel, is give you time to get home and to get your stats. And in the meantime, we can kind of move forward, and we'll certainly reserve the space for you to present the stats to us
Yeah.
as we get more into the body of of this nice session. So,
Yep.
so God bless. We want you to make sure you got your full time and attention to driving as well.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much for what you've given us thus far. We're so thankful to hear that the officer has survived the terrible accident. Sorry that he is in the type of banged up shape that he's in, but it really underscores everything why we're doing what we're doing. I just will repeat, and I guess I don't think I heard you say it, but the driver that hit Officer Rodriguez was, correct me if I'm wrong, twice over the legal limit for intoxication. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the legal limit for driving under the influence in Maryland is 0.08%, and this individual was at 0.2%. So he was more than twice the legal limit. So yeah, he was up there. I'm not sure where he was coming from, but definitely should not have been driving anything at all.
Yes, yes, and that's the thing. I mean, we're thankful that again the officer survived. I looked at the pictures you sent in terms of the damage to the vehicle, both the police car and the driver's car itself. And I mean, my gracious, how he survived that. It's
Yeah.
just the grace of God. I mean, it really is.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
but it just lets you know why we're doing what we're doing.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep. So I'm gonna switch over to my computer, so you might see me
Sure.
go. I'll be right back.
Okay, you go ahead and do what you
Yep.
need to do.
Okay.
Let me back up a little bit to each and all of you. I wanted to catch Captain Noel. I know his time is limited, but I want to thank all of you who's come on board here to tonight's meeting. Who you have just been listening to is Captain Noel from the Prince George's County Police Department, 7th District. He was giving us an update on probably what you already have tuned into the bad accident that took place Friday morning on Anyhead Highway at the Fort Washington Anyhead Highway intersection, where there was an accident actually on Swan Creek Road, and the officer was actually trying to direct traffic from the Fort Washington Road intersection to stave off traffic moving into where the accident was further down the road, southbound on Swan Creek. At that time, he was struck by a vehicle. The individual in the vehicle was twice the legal limit for intoxication. As you just heard Captain Noel, just present and report to us. The officer has survived the incident. The car was banged up pretty good. He's banged up pretty good in terms of broken bones and injuries. I know he went into the hospital under serious conditions, but thank God he's alive, and hopefully our prayers and our concerns, meditations will be with him from 210's perspective committee as well. I'm sure for each one of you. But this is why we do what we do in terms of trying to bring traffic safety to this notorious highway called Anyhead Highway. Along with that, I do have some very good news to report. I'm sure all of you probably have heard about it by now, that we actually have passed the legislation HB 349 after 3 years of succeeding years of trying to get it passed. This year we got it done. It's banged up a little bit. I see the hands clapping, and I hope all of you are clapping, because look, this was something. It's not easy to get speed camera legislation through the General Assembly of Maryland. That's number one. Number two, in the interim time that we were trying to get this one bill passed in 3 years, we actually lost 17 people on the Anyhead Highway, between pedestrians, between vehicular. We don't know if with this impending legislation that will be slowing people down, at least it's a deterrent to do that. If there's some may have survived. We don't know that, and I don't want to really speculate, but I do want to think that with having something that will have a strong influence on people's at least pocketbook, we hopefully they will slow down to the point where lives will be hopefully saved in the future after this bill takes place. The bill will actually go into activity on October 1 of this year. Why is that? I don't know. That's just the time that we've been given. But October 1, what we started out with, we did not get. Let me just say that, and giving context to the bill, I'm going to read it off to you in just a moment. As we started out with the bill, our desire was to pretty much duplicate what is already in force, in action, and is law with the work zone speed camera bill that was put forth into activity last year in 2024, which was actually taken from our bill. But just to say, by the way, that we had all trying to get past what the citation numbers were, starting at $60 at the floor, $500 at the ceiling, for those drivers who have infractions going through work zones. This is coming out of the governor's office, that particular bill. Well, our bill was going to duplicate that in terms of the citation numbers, 60 and 500, but getting through the House, which also has a bill, is HB 182. And just as a by the way, there now will be on October 1, all speed cameras in the state of Maryland, which is governed by this bill 182, will have we'll have a tier system to it as well. Although their system will not be the citation numbers will not be as severe. It will start at $40. It will have a ceiling at $350. That's HB 182. So that is a state bill that will be in force on October 1, same time that ours becomes law here on Indian Head Highway. Now, what has happened, just to explain a little bit as I understand it, at first it looked like our bill was going to get gobbled up into the 182 bill because of the state, I guess, standing that they have. But by the Constitution of Maryland, it was I guess interpreted to find out, because if there's a particular area that has some egregious areas that like what we have, it is allowed to have another bill, another legislation piece that will have a different structure than the state bill, and that had to be researched by a delegate, Valderrama, who siphoned it out of the Constitution, put it in place, and fought for it. And so, as it were, we did lose our. We're starting at $60. We had to negotiate with those who had a little bit more power to kind of work through our bill and push our numbers down to what was $50. The $500, well, we'll start at $50, and then our ceiling would be $425. So that's where it was at first when it came out of the House. We were looking at starting at 50, going from 40 to 50, and then to 425. We just in negotiation in order to maintain our bill. That's what we had to live with. When it got to the Senate, we had to go through the wrangles of the Senate, and unfortunately, we had our bill again pinched at the lower tier level, going from $50 to $40. But we survived our high tier number of 425. So in other words, what I'm saying, the bill runs from $40 to $425. You see, Ron, you're showing that 182 is going to 425 as well?
Correct.
Okay, I thought it was at 350.
No, no, I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, so both of them at 425. So
Yes, sir.
the state bill as well as our bill will have $40 as a floor and $425 as a ceiling. So that is what we have now that will be put in place and put in force, put in law, beginning October 1 of this year. Again, going through the General Assembly, you're going to take some hits in terms of what you start out with as opposed to what you come out with. But we're glad to have what we do have. We do feel that this will be a monumental deterrent factor, particularly when I'm about to give you in terms of, first of all, let me just give you the readout as I have it of the bill in terms of its tier numbers. If you want to copy this for your own purposes, I'm going to give you starting from the $40 floor. That will be for speeds going 12 to 15 miles over the 55-mile-per-hour speed limit. That will render you a $40 ticket. If you're going 16 to 19 miles over the speed of 55-mile-per-hour limit, you'll have a ticket of $70, citation of $70. The speeds between 20 and 29, it jumps to $120. Speeds between 30 and 39, it jumps to $230. And for those who are doing 40 miles per hour or more, it will be 425 miles per hour. So we're talking about people going 95 miles per hour or more will get $425 citation. For the first offense of this is not like you get a chance and, well, the next time around we get 425, we start at 40. No, it's not going to be that. If you go $40, 40 miles per hour over the speed limit at starting October 1, you're going to get $425 citation. Now, to give this some context, to kind of let you know where this stands, I'm going to read out to you our latest speed camera readout in terms of what's going on our Indian Head Highway and how these numbers will apply themselves. I'm reading out to you the latest camera statistics to kind of show you where things are. Now, last month, it looks like our speed camera, look like the speed cameras have an effect, which I know it is, but our numbers went down from about 12,000, more than 12,000 in the month of August of 2024 to February. It went down to 3,267 citations total for the 6 cameras, on Any Head Highway. Now, none of these cameras have been moved. All of them are mobile capable. They can be moved, but they're all in the same place. But yet and still, we got 3,267 in February's total number of citations between the 6 cameras. Now, a month later, March, the latest data that I just got here just recently, the number jumped up, the total number 6,368 citations, over 3,000 citation increase in 1 month's time. Now, here's where things get, where, in other words, when we're talking about the 425 and the other readouts that I gave you in terms of how the speeding is being, egregiously done on Any Head Highway. This is from the month of March. Please listen to this, and this is why we are fighting for what we have fought for. Every single camera of the 6, the 6 that we have, every single camera has registered a high speed of well over 100 miles per hour. Pine Lane, 131, Berry Road camera, 124, Independence Road, 104. That's the one that's closest to the state Charles County line. Farmington Road, going northbound, 125. Farmington Road, going southbound, 133. Southbound at Fort Washington Road, 113. Every single camera is registering someone going over 100 miles per hour, which has been the pattern for every month since they put the new cameras in July, with the exception, I think, 1 or 2 months when somebody was caught going 98. Well, I just caught that to be, you still would be caught under this $40 speed limit. So in other words, every one of these people that I just read, of the numbers that I just gave you, would be getting a citation for $425. Now, let's complete the picture of what we're talking about repeat offenders and what's going on with people driving on Any Head Highway. I asked Major Smith to give me the recent repeat offender numbers, and this is just kind of, this blows things out of the water and lets you know just where things are in terms of the egregiousness of where people are or what they're doing. From July, mid-July, when the cameras first went active of 2024, up to March of this last month, I think that's 8 months if I counted correctly. Those that had between 2 and 9 citations in that time period, the number is 10,925 individuals. 10,925 individuals with 2 to 9 citations. Those having 10 to 19 citations, 414 individuals. Those having between 20 and 29 citations, 78 individuals. Those having 30 to 39 citations, 19 individuals. Those having 40 to 49 citations, 14 individuals. And those having 50 or plus citations, 17. I think that kind of lets you know why we're doing what we're doing and why we're trying to get a more deterrent type of foundation for our citation model to be more effective than $40 for someone going 190 miles per hour, someone going 40 miles above the speed limit. We have to do something different. We have to do something dramatic. A lot of people, always the first thing they talk about when you hear about higher fines, oh, the state is trying to, ream people to get more money. Nobody pushes the pedal on on an individual's vehicle but the driver. That's the only person that pushes the pedal. As I said before, with an 11-mile-per-hour buffer, and the cameras have not moved since they have been stationary and put in place. Not a single camera has been moved since July, not one. Everybody knows where these cameras are. That goes up and down Indian Highway. You should know by now. Yet and still, cameras being placed in place where they are. Yet and still, the policy of Prince George's County, you have to have 3 type of signages of letting you know ahead of the cameras that there's a speed camera coming up. And with all of that in place, same cameras, same place, 11-mile-per-hour buffer, preventive signages. We have people, over 6,000 people have gotten citations in the last month. And then we just have the kind of situation that occurred here Friday, when somebody's over twice the legal limit for intoxication, hitting an officer, the police car, and the officer on the roadway. That lets you know what we're dealing with on Indian Highway. Any questions, any comments? Anything that anyone would like to add into conversation at this point? I'm going to try to get back to Captain Knoll if he's available, but any comments that anyone would like to make?
It's Tamara. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you for that information. I believe Ron sent out an email about Baltimore having difficulty maybe in collecting fines, and I know DC has a similar issue, and it may not be within the purview of our camera operator. Obviously, it's going to be Revenue Authority and so forth. But I'm wondering, with this new structure we have in place, what the county is going to do in terms of collection. So I think that needs to be a question, we may need to revisit with county officials, especially Revenue Authority, about what and how, what mechanisms, and then what kind of enforcement piece are they going to try to pursue if people aren't paying the fine, even at the higher level.
Yes, I listen. That is a key question, Tamara, and I'm glad you brought that up, because at this point in time, I don't know that there's anything. I know that the District of Columbia is starting to batten down the hatches in terms. I think I read something about some guy had over $80,000 worth of fines and hit somebody. They had to finally go after him and jail this person. And that's what it usually leads to, in terms of if you keep leaving people on the road who are this reckless, this egregious, this uncaring, sooner or later they're going to connect with somebody. They're going to hit somebody. They're going to take somebody out. And I don't know why, the liberality in the state of Maryland is just unbelievable, in terms of people seeming like, I mean, they just don't want to believe that people can do what they're doing. And it's hard to get things across in order to bring more accountability to, bad drivers. But anyway, this is open discussion. So I think Herb first had something he wanted to say, and then Ron. We'll kind of go from there, and anybody else who want to key in on this.
It is very quickly, and good evening, everyone. I want to congratulate the entire committee, the community. I know this has been a long fought battle. It's not a panacea, but it's a start. And I think it's going to be part of the toolbox that helps us change the driving behavior on 210. So congratulations to all. Secondly, this MOU, because it keeps, somebody else mentioned to me about the MOU, Dr. Screen, the memorandum of understanding, is that still in effect, looking at being revised? What is the current status of that?
My understanding is still in place, but what they have been doing is lately, I mean, well, I'll put it this way. I won't say at this very point in time, but
Mhm.
based on, I guess, the relationship that the state troopers have with our former commander, I don't know if the same is going to hold up for Major Smith, but they were working with us basically kind of like, okay, we need to help you guys out, but there are limitations in terms of numbers. They can only do so much. And they were doing like, I think one to two joint operations for a limited amount of time through the course of a month's time. But the language in terms of MOU, to my knowledge, has not changed. It was just that the decision to be more available, be more present on the highway was something that was done out of more relationship than any kind of legal change that I know of in terms of the MOU language at that point in time.
Well, well, I appreciate that. I'm hoping, just very quickly, the new county exec, maybe we can revisit this again, because it's not a legally binding document, if I understand MOUs. And we really need to hone in on that as, again, part of the many tools in the toolbox to help us with the goals of changing the behavior on 210.
Yes. Let's see, Ron, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I have two things. One, Tamara mentioned the problem of collecting speed camera fines. I know in the district they're towing when they find cars parked that have many unpaid speed camera tickets, they're towing them. And I don't know if we have the ability to do that in Maryland or not, but that's something we should look at. Do we need legislation to allow our police or revenue authority to tow vehicles because of unpaid speed camera fines, like as they're doing in the district? And second, to respond to Herb about the MOU. The MOU was revised in 2022, and it adds a paragraph that says the Prince George's County Police Department has primary responsibility for Maryland 210, but the Maryland State Police and the Prince George's County Police Department will conduct joint traffic safety operations on 210 to address community concerns. So that tells me that in 2022 we had provided enough advocacy to update the MOU that they actually did due to community concerns. So that's another win for us. And I think Tamara is probably mainly responsible for that. She was the lead on the MOU, and I think we all worked on it, but Tamara took the lead on that.
Yeah. I think what essentially the only change is, because again, Prince George's County still has the primary jurisdiction, is the fact that, the joint operations. And the joint operations have been, very limited in form and fashion. They have been, when they came out there, they certainly have been effective for the time that they have been there. But of course, when we have the kind of numbers that we have been showing, we know we certainly could use more of their presence. But I guess we have to take what we have and make use of it. But they have been, when they've shown up, I mean, they've made their presence known. But just like one of them told me very, very early on when we first started this committee, I spoke in depth to state troopers, and they know the formula of what needs to be done to change attitude. And what the gentleman told me emphatically, we have to be consistently out there in order to bring change to the behavior. And unfortunately, that's not what we are able to get. I mean, we have what we have. We're thankful to get that, but they understand the necessity of being a consistent presence on the road in order to really be effective, in any given time. So any others want to weigh in on this conversation as we have it now? I see Captain Noel, you're back. I'm gonna let you go ahead and take over with the readouts on the stats that you have.
Yeah. Hey, so we are grateful for working with the state police and the joint operation we've done. We're actually going to be kicking them up a little bit, not in frequency, but in volume. So next month, the county has an overtime program. It's called TEST, and I forget what it stands for, but it's a traffic safety overtime. So our next joint operation, we're going to have our recently modified community engagement unit, which is also doing more enforcement related stuff. We beefed that team up a little bit. And then we're going to have the state police as well as the county over to traffic overtime out on 210. I don't remember the exact date off the top of my head. I want to say May 10th. For some reason, that's sticking out, but it should be a big push. And I agree with them where the key is consistency. It has to be consistent, and then with a preference towards writing citations. Citations change behavior. Warnings generally don't. And I get it. A lot of officers don't want to be the guy writing the tickets. However, they want to cut people breaks, and I think everyone deserves a break. However, when you get to the egregious violations, some of the speed violations, and even when it's not too egregious, when we're trying to change behavior on that particular roadway, the citation is much more effective than the warning. So I'm pushing that down to my guys, to my officers, to say, hey, I want more citations, fewer warnings, just because the goal is not to write a bunch of tickets. I'd actually like to write fewer and fewer and fewer as we go along, as speeds and violations decrease. That's the end goal, but you have to start high to bring it back down. So that's a nice segue into actual. Sorry about my other phone going off. About the stats. So I went through ETICS this morning. So in the last month, I went from the 17th until today. We did a total of 281 traffic stops. That's just Division 7. So it's 281 stops on 210. That equaled out to 174 citations, 51 EROs, and 265 warnings. The highest speed that I saw recorded amongst all the citations was 86 miles per hour, which isn't big when you compare it to the speed camera record. However, it's a little bit of a different beast because generally someone will see a marked police car and they'll get slowing down. And then by the time the officer gets the laser or radar up and locked on, the driver has already started hitting the brakes and slowing down. So they may have had him in 86, but they were doing 106 prior to the whole chain of events coming into place. Sorry about my dog. She wants to go in. So that's where we are, citation, traffic stop wise. I also went into crashes, and because ETICS is also where the ACRES platform is, where we document the crashes. Last month, we had 6 documented crashes. So those weren't just exchanges of information. That's where there was an actual vehicle disabled on 210. That does not include, it would be 7 if you include Officer Rodriguez's crash. And there were 3 DUI arrests that were generated on 210. So I like to see all those numbers go up, and it's definitely something that this station can do. We're short on manpower like everybody else. However, it's not a big lift to get some more traffic enforcement done on 210.
Okay. Well, we thank you so much, Captain Dole, for all of what you and all the team are doing, the officers are doing. I go back to Officer, I think you said Rodriguez was the one that was hit. It just kind of highlights just how explosive, 210 can be. I mean, you can go through maybe a month or two without having, incidents, but then, before you know it, here's an incident that really brings you right back to, why we're doing what we're doing. But I'm glad to hear about the upcoming, I guess, joint operation planning. That's going to be put in place. And it's going to take, I mean, I think we have to message. I think was one of the questions that we had in our subcommittee meeting before yesterday, day before yesterday, before this day's meeting. Question came up on how is it going to be conveyed to the general public about the increase in citations, rather, fines. I don't know how that messaging is going to be conveyed. I hope it is, but we have to let people know that we're intolerant of, as a community, for having officers being hit, people being hit, people doing egregious speed, people going airplane speeds on a roadway. I get the feeling, and I heard this come out of I guess the gentleman who was a spokesperson giving the report on last Friday's incident from the police department, and he said, people are using this as a playground, a raceway. And I mean, and I couldn't agree with him more. There are people who actually think that they have the opportunity because they have a fast, vehicle and this, that, and the other. Why not get it wide open here on the Indian Highway, the straight roadway? Well, this is not. It's not a playground. But with this new fine coming in, if you're going to play that kind of game, you're going to pay. You're going to pay to play, and you're going to pay. You're going to pay severely. And so if they come with that attitude, they better have some very, very deep pockets, because the cameras are very precise in what they catch and who they catch. And I think the point is made in terms of where do you go after you get the citation. We're going to have to think about legislation in terms of doing things where it's not just the money that you accrue. It's going to be the car that you're going to be missing, because hopefully we can get something, maybe the cars are impounded or license to be suspended. We have to change the paradigm of the mindset if we're going to really change the behavior on any highway. Nobody wants to put anybody in severe harm, but there has to be a responsibility part for the driver. I don't know where we lost the whole mindset that driving is not a right, it is a privilege. It has always been a privilege. And it's only a privilege when we follow the rules. It's only a privilege when we follow the rules. And we're following the rules because a car can be a terrible weapon in the hands of people who are not paying attention, in the hands of people who are going to be unsafe. So everyone knows all the statistics and the egregious numbers and all that sort of thing. But we just have to get deadly serious about this and make it a kind of a stigmatized type of conveyance here on Indian Highway, that we just don't tolerate, this kind of behavior. And I hope that we can convey that in the right way, in which people, before they get the high fines, they can find a way of restraining themselves when they get behind the wheel. So any other comments anyone has to make? And Captain Manoa, thank you so much for what you're doing, and the numbers you've given us. Did you have any other segues that you wanted to tie into?
Well, just thank you for doing this. And I tell people, when people complain about laws and whether there needs to be a law or even a law to be removed, I say, it takes a while and some work, but the citizens are ultimately the ones who are going to get things changed. And this committee and the work that you guys are doing it. It's proof that it works. So I thank you for what you're doing and for the support. I think some of our officers sometimes think that nobody's appreciative of traffic citations or traffic enforcement, but it really is there. Right here is demonstrates that the community is behind the effort in what they do. So I need to make sure that I drive that message home to them. Like, you guys, there are people out there that have your back when it comes to this thing. So get out there and do it. And they're, the person on the receiving end of the ticket might not be appreciative, but everyone else who's around them who's now a little bit safer, because hopefully that behavior changes. is certainly appreciative of it.
Yeah.
So, I was listening to the, just brainstorming ways that could possibly add some more teeth to these. Right now it's those citations don't affect insurance rates, so maybe that's something that can be looked into.
Yeah.
Or one of the big pains of getting one, if you forget to pay it, is the registration process. You can't get your car registered. Well, maybe attaching, hey, you've received 50 speed camera citations. You're just not able to register this vehicle anymore, and maybe that'll drive it home as well.
Yes.
I don't know if there is the stomach for it in the state legislature, but you never know until you try. And
Right.
maybe you ask for one thing and you get half of what you want, and
Yeah.
that's better than nothing. So
And that's a good idea. I'm gonna notate that that particular idea, because we have to come up with something and draw the line on it, and make accountability as a part of the deterrent factor as well. When after you get the citation, making sure you're paying it, or there are also consequences as well. Thank you so much, Captain. I think
No problem.
Andy Holloway, you had comments you wanted to make.
Not be repetitive, but I'll stay. I think we have those signage boards that's along 210 now.
Mhm.
We can use those bad boys as a big advance warning.
Yeah.
If you do this, this right here will happen. Fines are being coming soon to your neighborhood.
Yeah.
And as Captain Noel just said, these are factors that cause increase in your insurance,
Yes.
your car insurance,
Yeah.
things like this. So you can help lower that by driving responsibly.
Yes. Yeah. I think that is a wonderful idea, Brother Andy, and we'll take that to heart. I don't know who the people who are governing the signage board there. I know they have the one there in Fort Washington, where the wine garden location is. And that is a very good idea that we can hopefully hone in on. We're not trying to, I mean, I know people are hurting financially in a whole lot of different ways. We're not trying to increase the hurt, but what we're not trying to more do is to have people killed on this highway, people hurt on this highway. These are avoidable things for the most part in many times. I mean, there are accidents, and then there are things that are not accidents. There are things that people do that precipitate accidents. And this is something that we can work on as a community, each one of us. And so I just pray we can find that formula to do that indeed. Any other comments or insights that anyone wants to make? I want to congratulate all of you as and from Captain Noel on down to the rest of everybody that's on this call here, because this is what community concern looks like when you put it all together in terms of caring people for their community. We just don't buy a house in the community. We buy into a community. We buy into the roadway. We buy into the school system. We buy into the police officers. We buy into the hospitals. We buy into everything that stands as pillars that upholds a community. And what can be more of a signal of coming into a community than the gateway itself, the roadway that leads you into all these pillar areas that are uplifting, that basically signify a community. You all, every one of you here, has been a part of this success of this new citation structure. It took 3 years to get it, but it took passion to move us through that 3 years. We had to want to have to get it, because believe me, the pushback is for real. You think you can put something in terms of logic, in terms of reason, in terms of, doesn't this make sense to you? You got to put data and then some behind it, because we've had data before, but it's trying to convert people to see things as you see them, or as you were experiencing it. Being an exception to the rule, where most people in this county, particularly the legislators, they really don't. They can't conceptualize what it means to go. Someone going 190 miles per hour on your mainstream road. They can't conceptualize that. So, something out of sight, out of mind. And so, you probably say, well, that was early in the morning. But what about the person you had to take somebody to the hospital early in the morning? What about the guy out there doing the newspaper early in the morning? What about the officers that are out there doing patrol early in the morning? If you're hitting somebody at 190 miles per hour, you're basically going to vaporize them into non-existence. I mean, because that's airplane speed. I flew aircraft for 30 years ago, for about 11 and a half years, and that's airplane speed on a roadway, on your main roadway. But this person that did this was a repeat offender. He's in that group that I had read to you earlier. This has just happened to be his highest speed, not the only high speed. And so, I mean, people who think that they can do this with impunity. And so we've got to change that. And so I think this effort that all of you have put in by being on this call, by being alert and being going to, and oh my gracious, the hearing that we had here in the testimonies that came in the hearing, I see like people like Miss Perkins. Perkinson was just a very passionate. Joyce Perkinson that gave a very passionate, rendering of testimony, and everyone else who was on this line that went there. I mean, you hit a home run when after your testimonies that the delegates have no questions. I guarantee you have shut them up because you've given them everything that brings an argument and gives an answer to it before they can conceptualize a question. And you did, and this was done this time around at our time at the House hearing. So congratulate each one of you. The lives are to be saved behind this new model of legislation. You all can play a part in this. It's something that I think we can all take a sense of gratification for our community. So I want to thank you on behalf of the 210 Traffic Safety Committee. I want to thank you on behalf of our family, and I want to thank you for all the other families who are probably may have able to mention it, but are thanking you too for making this highway just that much more safer by having the deterrent legislation that will now govern this highway starting in October the 1. So that being said, God bless all of you. Thank you so much for your support, for your presence, and for your passion. So anything else being said, I think next month we have whatever the third Monday, I haven't even looked at for May, the third Monday, we'll be looking for you to come back again to report on our next phase of moving forward. But in the meantime, God bless all of you. I hope you had a wonderful Easter. We want to continue to have more Easters, particularly as it plays into the roadway here. But and anything, whatever you do, God bless you. Have a wonderful evening. God bless you and your family. And we'll hope to see you again next May on the third Monday. Amen.
God bless you all. Amen. God bless you all.
Amen.
Take care now. Bye-bye.